Everybody, this is a quick video to walk you through how to do the Excel budget assignment. So I already have downloaded the file that we're going to use. It's this SS-2 budget thing. Okay, so I have that open here. And also I have opened up my instructions here. So I'm just going to go through these and help you walk through it. Step one is just to save it as a different name than what you already have. So with what I have right here, I should come here to File, then do Save As, browse to another location, and the best thing to do would be to go to your documents, create a new folder called My Excel Projects. So we keep them all in the same place. Hit enter, and then enter again. Then at the end of this, hit dash and put your initials, or your last name, or your full name, whatever you want to put. Hit save. Okay, so step one was to save it as a different file. Okay, step number two says in cell B7, enter a formula that totals the values in cells B5 and B6 and then fill it across. Okay, so here's what that's saying. So in cell B7, go to B7 right here. Enter a formula that adds B5 and B6. So the way to do that is to hit the equal sign, and then I click on B5, then type in plus, and then click on B6. I could have written B5 plus B6 and would have accomplished the same thing, but it's a little faster for me to click. So now we've entered a formula that totals these. Now this is totally different from typing 675 plus 45. That's not what Excel is good for. It's good for adding cell references, not necessarily specific numbers. The next thing that it says to do is to fill this across. Now what that means is we're going to take the formula that we entered here in B7 and we're going to copy it to each one of these other cells. Now, Excel has a really nifty shortcut for doing something like that. You see this little box around the highlighted cell, and when I move my cursor around this little box right there, you see how it changes? That it's now a little black cross instead of a white cross? That means I'm in the mode where I can copy it across, or fill across is the fill mode. So I'm clicking down right now, and I'm dragging it across. And when I let go, it has now copied the contents of that across. Now it doesn't just do an exact copy. It's a smart copy. So you see here, I have B5 to B plus B6, but when I look at the copied one right here, it says C5 plus C6, because it's assuming that if I'm making a copy of it right here, it doesn't care what those two added together is. It cares what these two added together are. And right here, you see that it has D's in it because we're in the D column. And now we're in the E column and it's adding those. So this formula, when we copied or filled it across, copied those. So that's what you needed to do. Now, let's see, what is next? We're on step 3 in cell B13. Use the sum function to total the values in B9 to B12 and then fill that across. So we're going to B13. And by the way, I'm using the keyboard shortcut Alt-Tab to move between this and my instructions there. Okay, so I'm in B13, and I'm going to use the sum function. Alright, that's what we're doing, right? Yep. So I come up here, make sure I'm in B13, and here's where it's the most commonly used function, and remember, a function is a shortcut to a formula that we use a lot. So I'm just going to click on that, and right away it just says, I'm going to assume that these are the numbers right here that you want to add up. And if that's right, we wanted B9, that's this right here, to B12. Yep, it guessed right. So I'm just going to hit the enter key, and it gives me a number of 550. So that's really a cool thing, because it just automatically added those up for you. The other way to do it would be to type in B9 plus B10 plus B11 plus B12 We could do that, but the sum function is a lot faster. And now I need to copy or fill that across. So again, I'm putting my mouse right here until I get that black cross section there. Click and drag across. And all those numbers just magically fill in. And once again, look right here, we're in the C column, so it's summing C9 to C12, D9 to D12 in the D column, E9 to E12 in that column. All right, next step, sorry about that, is insert a blank row between rows 7 and 8. So I come here to enter it between there. I'm going to right click on the 8. Right click and say insert. That insert a blank row here. It always inserts it above the number that you're clicking on. And then it says to insert a row between 5 and 6. So this time I'm going to click on 6. Right click, insert. And that put a row between 5 and 6. So that's what you needed to do there. Cut the data from A13. We're on step number 6 now. Cut the data from cells A13 to G13 and paste it in A6 to G6. Alright, so basically it's saying we want this to go up here. So what it's saying here is that this budget for this magical person here accidentally miscategorized his gifts as expenses and wants it to be in the income section. Alright, so there's two ways that you can do that. You can copy or cut and paste it. So I can right click here and say cut, and then come up here, right click and say paste, and it took it from there and put it up there. I'm going to hit Control Z and show you another way to do that. This is the way I like to do it, is to come right here, and you see how when I get to right there I get a 4 direction arrow. I can just drag that up there too. That's another way to do it. And then I have to delete this blank row here that's left over, so I right click and delete. Alright, yeah, so that was step number 7, delete row 13. In cell B15, enter a formula that subtracts the monthly expenses from the monthly income, and then fill the formula across. Alright, so a lot of my students really have a tough time with this. I don't know, it's really a simple concept. What we're looking at here is a budget where this person's expense, we have an income, and we have this guy makes money from his job, his gifts, and selling stuff on eBay. And we made a total of all his income. Then he pays only $250 in rent and $50 cell phone bill. Oh, no, that's the cell phone bill then. For electricity, $50 for that. And we totaled all that up. So we want to see how much money he has left over. So we're going to take his expenses and subtract it from the income. So all I'm going to do is say equals. I want to start with my income, then hit the minus key and subtract from that the total of the expenses. So this guy has $370 left over. He's doing a lot better than most Americans. He's actually not spending all the money he made. That's amazing. This guy is awesome. Alright. So that's what the answer should be right there. And then I'm going to fill it across. Again, that same function. Alright, step number 9. Insert a blank row between 14 and 15. That means I click on 15 and say insert. So you see how I'm kind of formatting this to make it an easy to read format. So my income is all kind of grouped together. My expenses are grouped together. And the bottom line that I want to pay attention to, surplus, stands out a little bit better. It doesn't look like it's grouped into here. That's why we want that blank line there. Okay, apply bold to the cells in the label with labels in row 3 and column A and apply a light blue fill. All that means is the labels are these. I want my months. Now I'm going to do a non-connected selection here. So I clicked and dragged here. Then I'm going to hold down the control key. Holding down control, then I'm clicking and dragging here. Alright, and then I'm going to apply the bold. I'm making those bold letters so they stand out a little bit here. Then I'm going to apply a light blue fill. So come up here and find your little paint bucket click on the arrow there and choose a light blue fill here. This is the one that I choose, blue accent 1, lighter 80%, so that it looks like that when you're done. Number 12, format cells B5 to G16 with the accounting number format with 0 decimal places. Here's how you do that. So I'm highlighting basically everything that has numbers, coming up here to the number formatting section, click that down arrow, find the one that says accounting, which is pretty much the same as the currency, but it deals more with accounting and allows numbers to go into the negative, and so we're choosing accounting. So it kind of looks kind of crowded. We're not really dealing with cents. We're not too worried about that, so we don't want these decimal places here. Right here is where I adjust the number of decimal places that I have. I can add in decimal places, but we don't want that. We want to get rid of decimal places. I want to go the other direction until I have no decimal places. Okay, select the range B3 to G3, then select the range B16 to G16 and insert a clustered 3D column. Alright, so that'll seem kind of tough, but it's actually really easy. So what I'm going to do is get my headers here, so I'm clicking and dragging, click on January and drag across to select it. Alright, and then I want this section down here, so I'm holding down the control key. This is critical right here. So you should have that selected and this selected. And I'm going to do that again just so you can see it. Highlight that row, hold down the control key, and then highlight this right here. At this point, you can come up here to insert, and we're going to right here our charts. We're going to make a graph based off of these months and these totals. In other words, what we care about in making this spreadsheet here is we want to know the bottom line. How much money am I actually saving every month? So I'm going to insert a 3D clustered column. So click on this down arrow. Right here is the one that you want. If you leave your mouse in place for a bit, it'll tell you that's a 3D clustered column. Click on that, and it kind of sticks it out here. I'm going to drag this over here underneath my current chart. And that should be the next step. Position the chart below row 16. And we already did that. And now we need to hide the chart legend and add a chart title, Monthly Budget Surplus. Now, in 2013, it doesn't default to showing the legend, but if I click on this little plus sign here, I can add the legend if I want, but it tells us to take it away. But it's already gone, so I just thought I'd show you how to put it on and then take it away. So there you go, it's gone again. Now I'm going to click on this here, and then get rid of, I'm going to change this to Monthly Budget Surplus. Once I do that, you see how I put my mouse over that? I can move this anywhere I want, but you kind of want it in the center there. Alright, edit the formula in, oh no, where are we? 16. Edit the value in cell F6 to 15. Now that's that throws a lot of people off. All that means is come up here to F6 and put a 15 in there. So this guy reviewed his expenses and said, oh yeah, I made $15 and somebody gave me 15 bucks in May. I better put that in there. And so he went and edited the value and put 15 in there. And that changes that there, changed that monthly total, and if you notice, it would have changed the graph as well. All of these things get updated real time. Anytime these values they're always connected. That's one of the cool things about, one of the many cool things about Excel, is all of this is real time. If anything changes, if I put 2000 right there, it changed everything, or 200, it changed my graph. I hit Control Z to undo, by the way. Alright, display the formulas in the worksheet. This is a handy thing to do, so you can just check to make sure your formulas are consistent throughout. So it's going to have you do that. To do that, I come up here to Formulas. And now I come over here to this handy little thing right here called show formulas. It changes it, and it shows me what my formulas are, so it's easy for me to look and say, oh yeah, those, okay, all right, that's sum. I have the sum function here, but I did those manually there. All right, okay. Now, you notice that it's not really adding the gifts in here, so that's, I notice right, it's easy for me to see that that's not added in there. So it's not going to surprise me if it tells me to do something about that next. And oh look, it does. Step number 18, edit the formula in B8 to include the data in cell B6. Then copy and fill it across. So we want B6 in there, which is that 200. So I'm going to double click down here to get into the editing mode and do plus B6 and then hit enter. Now that's included. If I turn my show formulas off, you notice that it changes that. It now has that added in there. And now I need to copy this across. So I click on B8, put my mouse right there, and copy it across. So all of these include this cell, or this row number 6. Alright, you see how all those did that. And finally, delete sheets 2 and 3 from the workbook. Not a critical thing, but you should know how to do that. So I come down here to sheet 3, right click, delete, and number 2, right click, delete. Excellent. Now check and correct the spelling. There shouldn't be any spelling errors in here, but if there were, I would come up here to the review spelling. It's always a good idea to check your spelling. Say yes to that. Awesome, I'm good to go. So let's say if I did spell something wrong, it should catch it. Oh yeah, it says I don't know what subtotal acid is. It's not in the dictionary. I'm like, oh, I hit a few extra keys. So I'm going to change that. And it changed it for me. So it's always good to check your spelling before you turn in something or finish it. And preview the sheet. So up here, if you don't have this little preview button, you can turn it on by going here and then clicking on print preview and print. I like to use that. The other option is to come, well, just use this one. And I notice, oh wait, that I don't even see my whole thing on there, and it's kind of on 3 pages. That's kind of lame. Alright, let's fix that. Click this back arrow. Alright, so it's going to ask me to fix that. So I'm going to turn on, this is, I came down here to my viewer to see how it is on the separate pages. I'm going to zoom out just a little so I can see everything that I'm working with. I'm going to come up here to page layout. Since this is kind of a landscape thing, I'm going to change the orientation to landscape. So page layout tab, orientation, landscape. Now I'm on 2 pages, so I just need to adjust it. So click up here in the A. So I'm clicking on the actual A column, and I'm going to drag that across all the way to the F. That means I'm selecting all of these columns. Then I'm going to put my mouse in between the A and the B till my cursor looks like you see the left and the right arrow. Just drag it just a little to see if I can get this to come over here to this. Oh, I didn't get G in there. Let's highlight all of those. I'm just going to adjust this until they all fit on one page. And now it looks like they're fitting on one page. And I can even take this and drag it out there so it all looks nice and even. Oh, it's going over into that other page. So you can see how if it goes over into this page, it turns white. That means when I print, it's going to print out another page. But I want all those other pages to be grayed out. There we go, that looks nice. And I'm going to go back to my normal view. So you see where my mouse is. I went down here, and I'm going back to normal view instead of page layout view. And you see I have this dotted line here that also tells me where the page break is. And I believe that's the last thing that we need to do. Yeah, it has you printed, but you're not going to print it. You're just going to turn it in to me. And we just did number 23, scaling it to fit on one page. Oh, I missed one. We're supposed to put in a header. Let me show you how to do that. Oh, we missed the merged center too. Where's the merged center? Boy, I skipped one. There's two other things that we need to do. I apologize. Merge and center. Budget. What we do is we highlight all of these. Click and drag through here. On the home tab, we have this button here called merge and center. So that makes all of these cells and turns them into one big cell. And then we're just going to format that. So come here to these styles, click this down arrow here, and we're gonna apply the heading 1 style to it. And what that does, it says budget with this nice little line underneath it. It looks nice. And we need to add in a heading. So go to insert, and then header and footer is right here. On the left hand side, you're putting your name. And on the right hand side, you are putting the date. And there's this handy little current date button. Just click on that, and it puts in a formula that automatically puts the date. To get out of the header editing mode, just click down here in this area. So when you're in the normal view, you can't see the header, but in the page layout view, you can see it. Or if you're in the print preview, you can also see it. And that's it. That's the final project, what you should be turning in. It should look like this. Your surplus totals should be in the positive. A lot of the students in the past get these numbers mixed up, and these end up being all negative numbers down here. They should be in the positive, and you should have your name and your date up here. That's what I would be looking for. Good luck with the assignment, and hopefully that will answer all the questions that might come up as you do this.